So the intent of the worksheet is that you're taking the application form that the owner has filled out, that's available online. They fill it out by pen or whatever, or you take it down to the dock or whatever, and you're measuring sales, because I know you guys do these sale measuring days, and everybody measures, and you write on that piece of paper all the information. The Handicappers Worksheet is more intended for you to submit all the necessary information. So the big thing you're going to use is the ASP Calc tab. There are 7 tabs on here. The main one you'll use is the ASP Calc tab for now. This will become extinct. The purpose of OLC, the online certificate, is that we're going to give you this online. So you're going to be able to do all this online. And then this is just going to be a tool for creating new classes, basically. Okay. But for right now, these guys need to be able to use this in order to submit a new certificate, or like if a I don't know, well, basically a new certificate, new boat for an owner or something that's very different, that type of thing.
So there will be no certificate number
if you know
a new boat.
If it's a new certificate, because the owner's never had a certificate before, you just leave that blank.
Oh, if there's a order that had a certificate, but he's got a new boat, it's the same number.
No.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So 2 scenarios here. First scenario is the owner has a certificate, had another boat, got rid of that boat, got a new boat. Okay. The new boat goes on his existing certificate.
So the number's the same.
Number's the same. Yep.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Thank
because
you.
that certificate number belongs to the owner.
And it has to be with Lake Ontario. You can't have a certificate number from Dyra.
No, we're
Okay.
not connected. Okay.
Thank you.
Second scenario, the owner has 2 boats. He gets 2 certificate numbers, 1 for each boat. Okay.
Okay. That's my case. I have 2 boats, but I don't perforate the other boat, or I don't.
And that's
race
fine.
perforate.
But if you need a certificate because you're racing 2 boats, then you're going to be issued 2 certificate numbers. So an owner can have 2 certificates.
Okay.
Okay. So basically you would fill out the certificate number if you know it. There's this little tab here. It's a yes, no thing. Use the class listed on the initial assignment tab. It's defaulted to no because we're assuming that you're going to be using an existing class that's already been rated. If you change that to yes, what it does is it goes and looks for all the information on the initial assignment form. And we'll get into this later, but I just wanted to show you that because it's kind of important when you're going a little further into this, that you understand the purpose of this little yes, no tab. Okay?
So run that by me again, Diana. For example, I have a boat in the club. There's only 2 in the world. It's called the Lake School 30. And
okay,
it's not listed anywhere as a class.
Okay, so what you're going to have to do, if it's not in our SP listing or class listing, if you go on to the website and you look for the class and it's not there, then you're going to have to get a new class rated, and that's done by your district. So you're going to go to Sue and you're going to say, I've got this, whatever you called it.
Lake School 30.
Okay, I need to get this rating so he can race. And that's where the initial assignment tab comes in. So this is where you put all the basic information for that class to get it a rating. Your district gets together and they decide what the rating is.
Okay. Now, for example, class here is like a CNC 30 Mark 1 and Mark 2 are 2 separate classes.
Yeah, but they're already rated.
Yes,
Okay.
but you would put that in there if there was a CNC 30. You would not just put CNC 30. You would put whatever it's a Mark 2 or Mark 3 or a Corvette or whatever.
Say that again.
Like CNC 30s have a bunch of different ones, like Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3. There's a Corvette, I think. So when we put class in there, is it like a CNC Mark 1 is a different class from Mark 2, or is that the same class?
No, it's a different class.
Okay, good.
I'm going to show you something. Okay, let me finish going through this because
Okay.
we're veering into the initial assignment stuff. So let me just go through this, and I think it'll all come to light.
Okay.
Okay, so this little tab, the reason I said this is basically it's telling this sheet where to go look for the information on the class when you're going to do this certificate. Okay. Your default will always be no, because that's generally classes that have been rated like the CNC 30, Mark 1, Mark 2, etc. Okay. Then line 5, it says you need to put in a status. Okay. And there's multiple reasons for this. We want to know if it's a new racer because when we were doing the Chapman Championship Award before COVID hit, new racers were getting awards for their performance, okay, based on the race analysis. We need to know if this is a new certificate, but the owner has raced previously, because they're not considered a new racer, and it's just something we're internally keeping a record of so that we can award new racers their award if they get it. Additional certificate, owner races multiple boats. Okay, this is where it might be, you've already got a certificate for another boat, but you're racing 2 boats, so you need a second one. So then we at least know when we look online on our in-house database system that, oh, okay, Mr. Brown, he needs a second certificate. Okay, we'll issue a second certificate. Change the certificate. This is the one you're going to use the most because that's most often is what happens. This is where OLC stuff will veer into here.
What's OLC?
Online certificate.
Okay, so that means
the online stuff.
The last one is for if a owner bought a bigger sale or something.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly. So this is update or edit certificate, revise the current certificate. So if the owner already has a certificate and you want it to be changed, okay?
Okay.
So the first thing you would do is give me the status. If it's a change certificate, new boat for the owner, that means we're going to use an existing certificate and we're going to go add a boat or create a new boat or find the other boat if in our database and now attach it to this owner. Okay.
Okay.
So basically the worksheet works like this. Gray, anything that's gray has a drop down. Anything with yellow is informational. Anything with green, you can enter. Okay, if it's a green box, you can enter. So I can do John Brown and enter all his information, his email, mobile phone, boat name, some nice boat, sale number, whatever. Okay, this
The whole number should be the same, is it?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Okay. We don't need both. We just need one or the other.
Okay.
We need to be able to track boats. So the some boats just don't have sale number. So we said, okay, alternately, we'll use the whole number and we'll just record that so that we have some kind of way to track the boats in our system. I have over 2,000 boat records in here. Probably more than that, actually. I don't even know how many boat records I have in here. Let me just take a look. This is interesting. I have 7,344 boat records. Okay, so we just need to be able to find the boat in our system to move it to that owner if it's in there, or we'll create a new one. Okay, so base thing, boat class is a drop down. You're going to be able to choose every boat class that we have a rating for. So if we go down, I'm going to use your example of CNC 30. Okay, so we've got CNC 30 with a sale number greater than 506. 30 shoal draft, 30 Mark II, 30 Mark II mod, 30 Mark II shoal draft wing keel, Mark II XL, Mark II XL mod. So you would have to determine what boat that is. So I'm just going to say CNC 30. The little stars you see beside that, if everybody can see that, there's little stars on the class name. That's because that's a benchmark boat. I'm not going to get into details on that, but basically those are boats that Central Council has deemed that they're confident in the rating of the boat, that it's going to stay that number. Does that make sense?
I see.
It's a long-standing class that has had lots of boats racing, lots of analysis, and they're confident about the rating. So, okay, back to this. So I picked the CNC 30. The thing you're going to notice is it's filled out this section over here, which is the class information. It gives the SP for the class and all the dimensions. This worksheet uses that information that's been populated in here to calculate all your rating adjustments. As soon as you put in a jib LP, it's going to calculate what the percentage is based on J. Does that make sense?
Yes, I remember trying to fill out this form though, and there were some acronyms that I could not find in the Handicappers manual to what it was. I just left it blank.
In the manual?
Yeah, in the manual, it didn't have one of these, maybe more. I don't know, I never got too far. It was the Lake School 30 I was working on. And there were some acronyms that were not in the manual. At least I couldn't find them. I even did a search.
Let me know. We'll get into more specifics. You and I will probably have to have a little phone call or whatever to go through this, because if there's stuff missing, I want to make sure that it's easy to understand, and I will make any changes I need to this worksheet or to OLC, online certificate, or to the manual. That's going to make this all meld together better for you guys. I mean, that's what I do. That's I'm just trying to make it easier for you. Okay.
It'd probably be easier if it had, like, it has all the dimensions there for CNC 30. You know, right there, the standard dimensions. But when we had a boat that was not in there at all, there was nothing there.
Okay, we can't go. Okay, let's leave that initial assignment, because what you're now delving into initial assignment. So I'm not going to go there. We're going to go there. I'm going to touch on that. I don't know how much time we have, but we're going to go there, but it's going to be quick. Okay. So let me just focus on this. So rating used, you can have flying sails or non-flying sails. If this is a one design class, like the, let's see, what do we got? J24. Let's say the J24. Okay. If it's a one design class, recognize one design class. Over on the far right, you're going to see ODR specs have been completed. Okay. There's a little button says click here to populate ODR specs. What that's going, you see on the far right?
It's covered by people's faces, or where the blocks are faces.
Does that help?
Okay, where is it? You click. I don't see your. That's, oh, you highlight those.
Yep.
And then what do you do?
Okay.
Click here where it says for populate.
This will light up. This little button will light up. It says click here to populate ODR specs.
Oh, okay.
What that's going to do is, the worksheet's smart enough and it knows that the J24 is an ODR boat. Okay, so it's populated those fields. And if I click on this button, which I will do, it's actually going to take all these specs and it's going to dump them into the worksheet. Okay, so the jib LP for the J24 has been completed, comes out to 150.1. It fills out all the spinnaker ODR measurements, the tack point, the main, and gives you your rating.
Excellent.
Okay.
Now it actually gives you a rating for flying and non-flying, even if you put in flying, right?
An ODR is going to get both.
Okay,
automatically. Okay, so if they're going ODR or they want to, the purpose are, the way Perf Lake Ontario handles ODRs is basically to allow an owner to not have to measure the sales because they just want to get out and race. They want to race usually level and they just want to get out there. They just need a certificate. Okay, it's just it's a convenience thing for them. Okay, so down at the bottom, one thing you will note is that there is a little box down here. It says attention. And it will highlight things that you forgot to fill out. Like it says club is required on line 6. So you go back up to line 6 and you're going to see, oh yeah, forgot to put my club in there. Okay, I'm with Alexandra Yacht Club, I'm going to say. Okay, just because it's at the top of the list. And it also says use ODR but to populate. Just a little reminder that you could populate using the ODR. Okay. Other than it being an ODR boat, you would have to fill in these measurements, okay, depending if they've got an ASIM sale or what might have you. Any questions on this real quick?
now those are all feet or meters or?
You have the option of feet
Oh, okay, yes.
or meters. If I click meters now, the numbers are going to change dramatically because it's expecting in the green box for it to be in meters. But
So
it's pre-populated with feet.
We're measuring with a tape measure and it's not 100% accurate, let's say something is like 0.05 over whatever the maximum is for a jib size, for example, they'll get a penalty?
It's possible.
Because we don't want to be that, you know, we're probably not going to be that precise because it even has, like, for example, feet and is that 20.58, like no tape measure I know has the feet divided into hundreds.
Yeah, it's actually it is a special tape measure. John Crawley has one because he measures for IRC, etc. And he's a registered measurer. So he has a special measuring tape that measures to the 10th of an inch. But yeah, you can just kind of, if you say it's 12, for instance, this is 14.26. If you measure 14 foot and 5 inches, you divide 5 by 12 and that gives you your point.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
And you're going to see 0.58 because 7 inches divided by 12 is 0.58.
Okay. Exactly. Like, I mean, if I get something in here and I've got to convert it, that's exactly what I do. I mean, I just had an application and we had to take all the measurements on there and I had to explain it was all done in inches. So I had to explain, you got to just measure, you have to measure it in decimal feet. Basically, you divide the.
That was mine, Diana.
Yeah, I know.
But you were being nice not to call me out.
No, I wasn't going out. No, because you know what? I've been doing this a long time. I've seen it all, and it happens. It's just a matter of getting used to the way things have to be done. And I mean, we figure it out. We know how to do it. I know how to convert stuff. Sheena, she still needs some help here and there, but for the most part, she's got it.
Okay, run that by me again. You take the feet if it's 5 feet, and let's say it was 7 inches. So what do you do with the 7 inches to get?
Divide it by 12.
Divided by 12.
Yeah.
Okay, and that'll give you your tenths.
Yep.
Right. So if it's 5 feet 7 inches, then it's 5.58 feet.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, you just forget about the 5 feet. 5 feet's 5 feet, and take the 7 inches and multiply it by, or sorry, not multiply, divide by 12.
Divide by 12.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right.
Diana?
Yep.
I have a question. It's Gavin Shanks. If you use the ODR specs to populate, does that lock all those in then? Or can you, like, let's say you do that and then you notice that when you did the actual measurements, there was just 1 or 2 things that were slightly different. Can
Okay,
you
the
go back and
worksheet,
make
the worksheet has a, it'll warn you. Okay, so for instance, I'm going to do it right here. Okay, so I'm going to say, oh, no, his jib LP, no, it was 13.5 feet. This is going to come bright red and says non-ODR specs entered, okay? Because it can't be, we can't issue the ODR certificate unless they're very specific, they're gonna use these numbers, okay? If you're gonna change a number, they're getting a regular perf certificate.
Okay.
All right,
You can't take your ODR boat and add a bigger sail and still call it an ODR.
exactly.
Okay.
The specs for the ODR, these specs are the maximums according to the class rules. Okay,
What about if it's smaller?
that's where the owner's discretion comes in. They can use the max, or they can measure the sail. We don't have we just issue certificates, okay? Giving them an ODR rating is for convenience, so they don't have to measure the sails. That's all it is.
But they would get a perf higher number if, for example, they only had a jib or like a regular 100% jib.
Okay, so for instance, I changed it back. The jib LP is now the class 14.26. Okay,
Okay.
that's 150% jib. If I change that, say he's got a real small jib, it's 13.5 feet. Okay, he's going to get an extra 2 seconds.
Oh, I see.
Okay, it's changed to 142.1.
Excellent. Now I see. Thank you.
All right, but he's not going to get an ODR certificate. He's going to
Yes.
get a regular perf certificate.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay, ODR is just one design, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions on this? Okay, I'm going to delve real quick into the initial assignment form. So, like we were talking about that new class. What was the name of the class you said you had?
Lake School 30.
Lake School 30. Okay, doesn't really matter. This is the initial assignment form. Is you're only going to go here. You're only going to use this when the class you're looking for does not appear in this drop down on the ASP Calc sheet. Okay, because that means that we haven't got a rating for it. You can't make a certificate for it unless it's in this list. It's impossible. We don't have specs for it. It's not in our database. We can't make you a certificate. It's impossible. So we need to get that class and all the information regarding that class entered into our database. And the only way it gets there is by the districts getting together as a group. The other clubs, the other handicappers within that district getting together and deciding what the rating should be. It starts with the initial assignment form. So this is where you're going to put all your basic information about the boat. You know, that it's a fractional rig, what the J might be, what the JSP might be, or is, not might be. You have to go, you got to find the specs. You got to look up brochures, look online, sailboat data, wherever you can get this information from.
Or just measure the boat.
You can measure the boat. If you can measure the boat, some of these measurements are a little hard to get, but yeah, if you can measure the boat.
Excuse me.
I'm just making stuff up. I'm just throwing stuff in here, and I'm going to show you why in a second.
There was one question, for example, that the keel didn't seem to have a keel that was described in your type of keel.
The keels are in transformation. There's a whole new project that Adam Farkas just finished on the keels. You'll see, here's a big picture, because this is the new keel design specs. Okay, so what I've done is I've actually put a picture of these new keel numbers and designs that he's come up with. Some of them relate to our old style and some of them don't, but he wants new classes now listed with this new keel. The Handicapper's Manual has these new keels in it. I know, because I did a lot of work to get this stuff in there. it's
So
in
can
there.
you not choose something that's not in that list? Like I don't see his
No.
keel in any of those pictures there.
What? Okay, this is where, these are the questions that you go to your district chief with, go to Sue with. She's gonna help you identify the right keel for this. And if
But
not,
it's a drop down. You can't choose anything that's not on the list, right?
we have drop keels.
No, but there's nothing on the list. If there's no keel in there, it looks like it, there's nowhere to put in a different keel. It's all drop down. You just have to click on those things, don't you? Or
Yes, yes, it's all in the drop down, yes.
so, but what happens if the drop down doesn't have the type of keel like that, like he
And
has?
you're gonna have to, then that's where you have to go to Sue. She's either gonna help you identify that it does match something, or she's gonna go to Adam and say, you missed this.
Okay, because you think
Okay.
he's missed it.
It
There's
could
like a
be.
torpedo on the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, this is, like I said, I don't sail, I don't own a boat. This, with that, when it comes to specifics on the individual boats, that's where you go to your district chief. And they're
Okay.
gonna advise you on that. Anyway, so I just wanted to go into this little initial assignment really quickly. So basically you fill out, if it's a drop down, you have choices, those things should be filled out.
Now, what, for example, on I don't know enough about boats. It says backstay conventional. What's a conventional backstay?
Oh, that even shouldn't even be in there anymore. We don't even do that anymore.
You don't? Okay, because his had no backstay, but some of them have.
Well, you can
Like-
put no backstay, but we
Okay.
don't even, I should take that out of there. It's just been sitting there for a long time. We don't even use that information anymore.
Okay,
The
good.
backstay.
Because,
If you don't fill it out, I'd ignore it.
okay. And
Um,
another, what does center line tacked FS mean?
Center line tacked flying sails is the class. Is the boat built so that the flying sail is tacked to the center line, like to the bow or to a bow?
Oh, like
split?
an asymmetrical with the bow,
Yeah, if
spit?
it's designed that way.
Oh, okay. So what happens if somebody modified the boat to that? Because that's happened here too. They took away their regular spinnaker and put a spit in the
Okay,
front
we've
of the
got-
boat.
Yeah, okay, so what you have is you've got two different animals. Okay, one is the class. Okay, the class is the way the boat was designed, the way it
Yes.
came out of the factory. Then owners, if it came out of the factory where it's tacked to the center line, is no, because that's what most, especially some of the older boats are, they didn't, it wasn't built to be put on a bowsprit, right?
Yes.
They intended to have a symmetrical spinnaker on a spinnaker pole. That's the way most of them, but I know that there's a lot of boats out there that have said, just for crewing reasons, it's easier just to put it on a bowsprit, get an ASM, stick it on a bowsprit, and then you don't have to worry about it.
Yes.
That is handled at the certificate level. So that's
So
the
we-
individual boat. So when you go to the ASP Calc sheet,
Uh-huh.
that's where you're going to fill in a center line value versus an articulating. Okay, so on the ASP Calc sheet, flying sails attachment over here, you've got ATP, which is articulating tack point, which is your spinnaker pole length or your articulating bowsprit. Okay, because some bowsprits articulate, right?
Oh, yes.
And
I haven't seen one, but I've seen them on YouTube.
Okay, and this is centerline tack point, so it's on a bowsprit or somewhere tacked on the center line,
Okay.
on a bow pulpit or wherever that might be.
Now, on the last one though, do we set it for what the boat is or what the boat was originally manufactured to be?
The initial assignment, when you're looking at initial assignments, that is the factory boat, the way it
Okay,
came out of the
good.
factory. Okay, then there's the individual boats, because a lot of boats they modify them.
Oh, okay.
All
I
kinds
just
of,
caught on. So initial assignment is what the boat was when it came out of the factory?
correct.
And then the ASP is any changes?
This is where
Or-
you set the ASP.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. I don't know what ASP is, but
Oh, okay.
that's how dumb I am.
The ASP is the actual rating that they're going to race with.
Okay.
The adjusted speed potential.
Mhm.
Adjusted speed potential. Okay, so it's adjustment. It's taken in adjustments for sales, props, etc. And the speed
So-
potential is the SP, which is the class boat, the one that came from the factory or the one that was specifically modified, like it added a longer beam or something. You know what I mean? Like they've changed something significant on the
Yeah.
boat.
Well, one of the biggest changes I see now is boats that have an inboard engine. The inboard engine becomes kaput, and they cut it out and they glass it over and they put an outboard on the back. And the boat was never made for an outboard.
Yeah, and that's gotta be handled as a new class, unfortunately.
So Diana, I have a question about that.
Mhm.
So when I looked up my boat, the class listed was Starwind 27 IB, meaning inboard engine.
Inboard.
When I got my certificate from you, and that's exactly what I have. It's an inboard. It's exactly the way it was from the factory. I didn't, it doesn't
Okay.
I haven't done anything. But I had a relatively significant adjustment to my speed because I had a exposed two-bladed non-folding propeller.
Yeah.
Well, if that's the class standard, why isn't that number built into the class rating instead of it being? Is it just that's just how it is? But
Yeah.
I just want to make sure there wasn't a mistake there. That's all.
No, not a mistake.
Okay.
When ratings are created, there are base ratings. So the class, for instance, the class that's being listed on the initial assignment form, propulsion is only going to be listed as outboard, inboard, exposed to flow, inboard in aperture, or inboard sail drive. Okay, those are the only choices for the class. From there, it branches out into the other different adjustments. So if the class is inboard exposed to flow, you're going to get credit if the prop doesn't move.
Gotcha. Okay, makes sense. Thanks.
Okay, and that's calculated in because when you'll see when you're at one of the meetings, you're gonna realize what's happened. You're gonna fill this all out, and then they're gonna look, and that's why the ASP calculator works with this, and they're gonna say what is it we want for the ASP, the actual rating that this boat's gonna race at, and they're going to try to work with the two, the class rating and the actual ASP Calc to get it to the rating that they want it to race at. Does that make sense? Because some boats even have naturally small jibs and naturally oversized mains or whatever, and so they work with it. It's no different than that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it.
Okay.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Okay. So anyways, I'm not going to get into any great depths with this. I'm just going to throw in a number here. I just want to show you something. Oh, it doesn't. Okay, that's all right.
Diane, I have a question about the prop though. I've never seen this thing that's not exposed to flow. An inboard engine that's not exposed to flow. What's that?
You mean exposed to flow?
No, right above it in aperture. What's that?
In aperture. Okay.
What's that?
Yeah, you missed the beginning.
Okay.
Go to the website, look under handicapping,
Okay.
boat and class, and then you're going to see that there's a menu there. You've got handicap reviews, keels. It's going to show you pictures of all the keels, one design, and then props. There's your pictures.
Okay.
Okay. Pictures are in there. You
Okay.
can see what they are.
All right.
Okay.
I've seen sail drives. I've seen props coming out with a shaft, but I've never seen a prop that was in no way not exposed to the flow. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, no, they're in there. Inboard, out of aperture, inboard, in aperture. All the pictures are there.
Okay, I'll have a look.
Yeah, I got all those pictures from John Crawley and he has lots of pictures.
Okay,
Okay. So I just wanted to kind of get this worksheet filled out. It's missing some information to calculate the NFS delta, because the NFS delta is an automatically calculated number based on all the dimensions of the class. Okay, but I'm not going to go into that because I got to do beam and displacement, like water line, and it's getting late. Anyways, so I just wanted to show you how this sheet relates to the ASP Calc sheet. And you'll remember earlier, I'm just going to, okay, another little thing you should know about these sheets. There's a little button at the top of each sheet. It says clear sheet. If you click on that, everything you entered is gone. Okay. Little trick there. Did you see that?
Mhm.
Everybody got that? Okay. So what I wanted to show you is, remember I was talking about this line 4, use class listed on initial assignment tab. I'm going to say yes. And over on the right-hand side, you now see the dimensions for the Lake School 30. Under boat class, and your drop down, you have Lake School 30. It's now going to use these dimensions to create the ASP for that boat.
now is that actually in there? Because I looked, I didn't see it.
No, it's
Oh, okay.
by using line 4
Oh, okay.
and turning this to yes.
Oh, I see.
What you've done, okay, the way it's written, because I wrote it, is that yes is telling this sheet to get that information from the initial assignment form for the class.
So that's the first tab.
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay. And if you say no, which is defaulted to, it's not going to find anything. See the Lake School 30? It doesn't find anything because we haven't got a rating for it,
Oh, I
because
see.
it's looking in a different place. When you say no, it's looking, if there's things hidden in here you guys can't see, you guys can't touch, you can't get in there because it would mess things up. So
Now,
there's things
if-
hidden. When you say no, it goes to one of the hidden sheets and it looks up the class information. When you say yes, use initial assignment form, it's looking over at the initial assignment form and picking
So-
up all this data.
If you pick up all the data, but there's one thing, like a jib that's oversized or a prop that has 3 blades instead of 2 or something, you would have to enter all that information, or can you just populate it with the stuff from the initial assignment sheet and then go in and make one change?
No,
not
the
getting
only, okay, so the only thing you're getting is the standard boat information.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that is the class, base class, factory boat information. The J, the JSP, the I, the ISP, the EP, length of hull, length, water line, displacement, draft. No sales. Okay.
Oh,
It's
okay.
going
Oh, but it
to-
has standard prop exposed.
Yes.
So
okay,
let's say I
so
have a
it-
3 blade instead of a 2 blade.
Okay, so what happens is on the ASP Calc sheet, it's going to look over on the right-hand side there. It's going to say standard prop is exposed for this class. And it's going to say, okay,
Oh, yes.
you can use any one of these. So solid 3 blade, and you're going to get 15-second credit.
Okay. So you can still use the populated, all the information except for that one little thing you can go in and change or not.
Say that again.
So you can choose all the information from the initial assignment and then just go in and make that one change. Or you don't have to
because
add
that's-
all the information in by
Okay.
hand.
The individual boat prop setup can be changed. Okay,
Okay.
so
Good.
okay, if you think of it this way, the class comes up, yeah, out of the factory. It's got an inboard exposed fixed solid 3 blade prop. Okay, that's the way it came from the factory. we don't do that. Like we just decide, is it exposed? Is it normally outboard? Or is it in aperture? Okay, those are, or sail drive. Just the way, because the prop itself can be changed. And 9 times out of 10, my experience is an owner races with these fixed props for a couple years and then they put a folding one on.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I see it all the time. They have it for a little while and they think, wow, I got 15 seconds. This is really good, until they try to actually race with it. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why the class is set up as exposed, so that they can go and they can put any one of those other kinds on there that they want. Okay. They can put in a 2-blade. They can put in a folding prop. All right. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Try backing up with a folding prop though.
Okay. Any questions? Have I confused you all and you're just like, oh my God, I can't do this?
Well, wait till we do one. Another question is, when we go there, we like download the form, we work on it in our computer. It's not really online, right? We save it and then we send you a copy, correct?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Now,
And do we do this comparables and calculated ratings, or is that all done by you?
well, no, leave that to your district chief.
Okay, good.
Okay, I think that's getting.
I want to do as little as possible. I'm afraid of screwing things up. I'm good
well,
at doing that.
It's those other tabs are, I'll tell you what they do, but I'm not going to get into it in any detail because we could be here all night. The only other thing I'm going to tell you is on the top right of each one of these tabs, you're going to see a version number and a date. I will apologize. That's not supposed to read June 10th to 2020. It's supposed to be 2021. I changed that date myself. And I wrote 2020 by accident, but it gives you a version number. So when you go online, you can see what version number you have and if a new version's up there. I generally issue a new version if there's been a lot of changes that should be put out there. And then the date reflects the most recent SP listing. So the most recent list of up-to-date classes. I generally do that after a few districts have had meetings. Like I've got Toronto West right now and Rochester just had meetings. As soon as those new ratings are all in our database, then I'll issue a new list of SPs. Okay. So I'm going to go quick into comparables. You would use this if you were reviewing a rating. It gives you the option of looking at different classes against other classes. You have a list of classes at 5.5 meter. It fills in all the details about the class and then allows you to compare it to other classes that we have rated. These green boxes are for you to put in differences that you would like to see in the classes that you want to compare it to. It's defaulted to 5% lake waterline, 5% displacement. You can remove those. You can put in, I want to see every boat within an SP of 3 from this 5.5 meters. And it'll just bring you up a list of all the boats down in this section here. You can pan through to the numerous numbers. There's right now there are 82 classes that have an SP within 3 seconds of the 5.5 meter. So you can go up to 82 of them. And then you can, on these lines, pick any of those classes and just compare them to the 5.5 meter. It tells you if it's faster, longer, slower. I'm not going to get into this in any great detail. You can play around with it. The rules for this, all through the sheet, gray is a drop down, green is you can type in, okay? It applies to every single sheet. The calculated ratings, I told you about the VPP, velocity prediction programs. We've got Charlie Kramer's SP, Steve Killing's SP, and the shell regression SP. If you pick a class, it will tell you what those formulas, what ratings those formulas come up with. So I did the 8-meter classic. Charlie Kramer says it should be 98. Steve Killing says should be 100. And shell regression says 111. You can do that for multiple classes, keep bringing them up. And what it's going to do is it's going to start looking for deltas between the numbers to
What's
see
a
how
delta?
the difference.
Oh, okay.
Okay. To see and get a better idea if the rating that you picked is right or the rating looks right or not. Okay.
Now, answer this question. I'm a little unclear on this. I thought I just filled out the worksheet and sent it into you, and you give the boat a rating. I'm actually giving a boat a rating.
You're supposed to, as a handicapper, it takes a little bit of experience. You're supposed to come up with, I'm going to go over to the initial assignment, best approximation SP, what you think in your head that boat's SP or standard rating should be, okay? That may not be where it's going to end up to be. When the district gets together, they talk about the boat, they decide on the rating, and that's when it's set. It's not set on what you maybe think it should be.
Yeah,
Okay?
I'm too new at this. I don't want to be thinking anything. I
And
just
that's
want to fill
okay.
out a form.
That's what your district chief is for. I'm just
Okay.
giving you I'm giving a little intro into these other sheets so you have an understanding of what they do.
Okay, greater
Benchmark
minds
boat,
than mine are working.
benchmark boat, calculated ratings. Again, it's just a tool. It's another tool to use, but only looking at benchmark boats. Remember, I told you that they have little stars on their name? Those are benchmark boats. So it's just comparing to benchmark boats only. And then we've got the national worksheet which I showed you, the US sailing listing. And this is where I've used Jamie's list of regions that we feel do actual work on their ratings. So you've got Charleston, Chesapeake, Gulf, Perth, Lake Erie, Lake Huron, Lake Michigan. So you would use this. You would use the US sailing listing. You put in the handicap that they have it listed at and the number of boats. And that's another way of just comparing and using it as a tool to find what you think the actual rating should be for the boat. So
I don't see DIRA on there, and that's the most common place where people buy boats here.
it's not about buying boats. It's
Yeah,
about,
but they have a rating and a certificate they give me, and it's from DIRA, which is Detroit. I don't see
okay,
DIRA
what
even on
that
your list.
means is, if you look up Jamie's article, what it means is that Jamie looked at what they do, he contacted them, and he either felt that the sailing conditions were much different than ours, or what they do to come up with their ratings was not the best information that we can use.
Okay.
Okay. So that's that. That's that sheet. You can play around with it. You're not going to break it, I hope. I've done a lot of work to try to make so you can't break it.
So basically, the first two tabs are what we really need to fill out.
The first two, well, and not even, it's really going to be primarily the ASP Calc.
Yes.
This one is the one that you're going to use the most. Okay, it's the most common one because right now to get a new certificate, you need to use this form, or to give an owner a new boat. So this is the main one you'll use.
Okay.
I'll tell you that because I got this from someone else, I'm just going to bring it up here, actually. It's going to show you something. Okay, yeah, this is what I want to show you. hang on a second. I'm just going to share a different screen quickly. I was told I could use this as an example, only because it's all filled out. So the worksheet does use macros. So if you're asked to approve a macro, say yes. A lot of the security on these spreadsheet programs are looking to stop macros, but mine are safe, trust me. Okay, so this was actually submitted to me. And what you're going to notice is on line 5, it said edit, revise current certificate. As soon as you make that choice, it's going to blow up and say, please use OLC, please use OLC, please use OLC, because it's pointing you to go online and make these changes. Okay, I left it as an option, but it was more if you want to see the adjustments, because it'll do all the calculations for you so you can see it, but the change isn't going to happen in perf unless you go on to OLC and make those changes.